Hey everyone, ready to ditch the old marketing playbook? Because today we're diving into this whole growth hacking thing.
Yeah, growth hacking.
We're cracking open Ryan Holiday's Growth Hacker Marketing
Mm.
to uncover the tactics that are seriously making companies explode.
And what's exciting is how this approach, it really flips the script.
Mm,
It's less about those big flashy campaigns
right.
and way more about building sustainable growth,
Yeah.
directly into a product and its community.
Okay, so not just throwing a massive launch party and crossing your fingers.
Exactly. It's more like, think of it like finding the perfect puzzle piece.
Okay.
You need a product that fits so well with a specific market that it practically markets itself.
So Airbnb, right? They're a classic example in the book. Didn't they start by just renting out air mattresses on their living room floor?
Yeah, they did.
Wild.
And that's what's so interesting about their story. It wasn't like this billion-dollar idea right out of the gate.
Right.
They recognized a need, though.
Yeah.
They just constantly iterated,
Yeah.
until they nailed that product market fit.
So they were agile, constantly adjusting on the fly.
Totally. Initially, they were targeting budget travelers.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But through testing and feedback, they realized a whole different group was really hungry for this service people who wanted something more unique than a traditional hotel.
Interesting.
And it was a total game changer.
That's a huge light bulb moment for me, and I bet for a lot of our listeners too.
Yeah.
It's about asking that tough question. Does your product really solve a problem
Right.
for the right people?
Yeah.
That's the whole product market fit thing, right? The
Yeah.
cornerstone of growth hacking.
Absolutely. Like the old saying goes, you can't polish a turd, right?
Right.
You can't market a bad product. Growth hacking is about building something so good, so perfectly matched to a need
Yeah.
that people can't help but tell their friends about it.
Makes total sense. So how do you approach this whole thing strategically? Holiday talks about how traditional marketers are like artists, but growth hackers are more like scientists.
Yeah, it's a great analogy. While creativity has its place, growth hacking is data-driven. It's about constantly testing, tracking, and tweaking your approach based on what the numbers are telling you.
So less gut feeling, more cold, hard data.
Precisely. You're looking at things like conversion rates, not just how many people visited your website,
Mhm.
but how many actually took action.
Right.
That's the goal.
And then using that data to steer the ship.
Exactly. You refine your product, your message, your whole strategy until it syncs to your target audience.
Okay.
Just like Airbnb did with their pivot, sometimes you have to go back to the drawing board, even if it means scrapping weeks or months of work.
Yeah, that takes guts, though, to admit you might be on the wrong track.
It does. But that flexibility, that willingness to adapt, is crucial in growth hacking. Being open to the idea that your initial assumptions might be wrong, that's where the magic happens.
So you've got this amazing fine-tuned product.
Right.
You're not afraid to pivot if the data's telling you to go in a different direction, but what's next? You can't just build it and expect them to come, right?
Right. The build it and they will come
Mhm.
mentality. Yeah, that's another myth that growth hacking throws right out the window.
Yeah.
You've got to be strategic, deliberate about attracting those first crucial users.
Right.
Really important.
It's like that saying, fish where the fish are. You don't cast a line in the desert and hope to catch something.
Exactly. Growth hackers, they identify their target audience and then they're like, okay, where do these people hang out online?
Right.
Could be a specific forum, a subreddit, certain blogs. It's all about finding your tribe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And tailoring your approach accordingly. Holiday has some really cool examples of this in the book. Like Dropbox, they didn't just create some generic demo video. They made one that was specifically designed to resonate with these tech-savvy early adopters.
And that's brilliant because it maximizes impact with limited resources, right?
Right.
You're not trying to shout from the rooftops to everyone on Earth.
Yeah.
You're laser focused on the people who are most likely to get it, to become your evangelist.
Right. So it's all about that laser focus, not this scattershot approach you see so often with marketing.
It's understanding your tribe's language, their pain points, their sense of humor even,
Interesting.
speaking directly to them.
Okay.
Now, what Holiday says is you got to find your 1,000 true fans.
I like that. Yes.
1,000 true fans.
1,000 true fans. So you found them. They love the product. How do you light the fire? How do you make it spread? That's where virality comes in, right?
It does.
Okay.
And this is where things get really, really interesting. Because growth hackers, they understand that virality isn't an accident.
Right.
It's engineered.
So you're not just crossing your fingers hoping people will share your content.
Yeah, you're not just like, oh, please like and subscribe.
Right.
You're designing it to be shared.
You're baking it in from the beginning.
Exactly. And better yet, You're incentivizing it.
Uh.
Remember Hotmail?
Oh, yeah.
They exploded their user base with one simple line in their email signatures. P.S. I love you. Get your free email at Hotmail.
It's genius because you're turning your customers into your marketing team.
Right. Think about Groupon, Living Social, all those early referral programs.
Yeah.
Each customer becomes a potential marketer,
Right.
spreading the word and getting rewarded for it.
It's like building a marketing machine that runs on its own fuel. Totally sustainable.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is that it scales organically.
Right.
The more users you have, the more people are exposed to your product, creating this like amazing growth loop.
Okay.
But you can't forget about those users once they're in the door.
Right. You need to keep them coming back. Holiday really emphasizes this idea of retention.
He does. Because retention, that's the secret sauce. You know,
Yeah.
it's not enough to just acquire customers.
You're right.
You have to keep them engaged, happy, wanting more.
Right.
Otherwise, it's like pouring water into a leaky bucket.
You can keep pouring, but you'll never fill it up if the water keeps draining out.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And that's why growth hackers spend so much time analyzing user data,
Makes sense.
figuring out where are people like dropping off, why are they leaving?
Okay.
And then they go in and optimize those areas.
So it's all about plugging those leaks, patching up the holes in the bucket.
Yeah, think of it like that.
Holiday talks about how Twitter used this approach to massively increase user engagement.
They did, yeah.
Right.
And you know what it turned out to be? Getting people to follow just 5 others.
Oh, wow.
That was the game changer.
Just 5.
Increased the likelihood of them becoming active users significantly.
That seems so simple.
It does, but that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Often, a small data-driven tweak
Right.
can have a huge impact.
Okay.
And it highlights how growth hacking goes beyond just traditional marketing. It's about the entire user experience. Now, speaking of data-driven tweaks, Holiday also talks about Airbnb's rather unconventional strategy for attracting early users. Have you heard about their Craigslist coup?
Craigslist.
Oh.
Not exactly where I'd go to book my dream vacation rental.
Right. And that's what's so wild about it. It was genius, really. So back then, Airbnb's people, their audience, they were already on Craigslist
Okay.
looking for cheap places to stay,
Right.
you know? So they basically said, why fight it? Let's
Yeah.
hack the system.
Oh, how'd they manage that? Wasn't Craigslist like super strict about what you could and couldn't post?
Oh, for sure. But Airbnb, they found a loophole. They built this bot.
A bot.
Yeah, basically this thing that automatically reposted all their listings to Craigslist.
Sneaky.
Totally bypassed those restrictions and got them tons of exposure.
Wow. That's some serious hustle.
It really was.
It kind of reminds me of that whole Tim Ferriss thing with his book, The 4-Hour Chef.
Yeah.
Talk about thinking outside the box.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, that was growth hacking at its finest.
For sure.
Ferriss hit this huge wall when those traditional booksellers, they wouldn't touch his book.
Right, right.
So he had to get creative, you know.
And creative he got. Didn't he basically give away copies on BitTorrent? I vaguely remember that whole thing.
He did, which was unheard of back then. He packaged
Wow.
up like a free sample of the book,
Smart.
added some bonus content, made it super shareable.
On BitTorrent of all things.
Yep, and millions downloaded it.
Wow.
It was genius. Created this huge buzz, which of course led to a ton of sales.
That's amazing. He totally turned that around. But it's more than just being creative, right? There's this common thread I'm seeing, this commitment to data.
Oh, absolutely.
They weren't just winging it.
No way. It was all very calculated.
So whether it was the Hotmail thing, the Airbnb hack, or even the BitTorrent strategy, they were tracking every single thing.
Every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Analyzing that data, figuring out what worked, what didn't. It's all about the data.
So it's really about being adaptable, not being afraid to experiment, but always measuring the results.
Always. That's how you
Yeah.
get better, right? Double down on what sticks and ditch what doesn't. That's the growth hacker way.
This has been eye-opening. So to wrap things up, what are the key takeaways our listeners should walk away with from our growth hacking deep dive?
Well, I think the biggest thing is this. The old marketing playbook, it's out the window. Growth hacking is about being scrappy, resourceful, letting the data guide you.
Right, and building growth directly into your product, into your community.
Exactly. It's about finding those unconventional but crazy effective ways to connect with your ideal customer and turning them into, like, raving fans.
Becoming their go-to, no question.
And never being afraid to experiment. Always testing, always tweaking, and always letting the data be your compass.
It's not about those flashy, expensive campaigns. It's about the small, consistent wins that add up over time to something huge.
Exactly. So as you think about your own projects, your own ventures, ask yourself, How can I apply this mindset? What can I test, track, and tweak to unlock that exponential growth? Remember, knowing your audience, that's the ultimate growth hack.
That's some seriously great advice to end on. And that's it for today's deep dive into the world of growth hacking. Hope you enjoyed it, and until next time.